Hey everybody, today we're going to be just starting our sampling project. This isn't the big video I was talking about with a full look at this, but this is something I was messing with over the weekend. A few years ago, I went to the University of Michigan's Stearns Instrument Collection where they have the original Moog synthesizer. Not one of the original, but what is called Opus 1, the first time Bob Moog put all of the components into a single instrument, and the frame of it is even made from wood from a pear tree in his backyard. We're talking the first of the first. So it's like the holy grail of synthesizers, really important for someone like me. It's like going on that holy quest to see where the roots of some of our most important thoughts in synthesis are. And so I went there to actually to look at it and to hopefully use it. And I was able to gain access to it. Got to use it for a couple of days in one of their recording studios. Sampled a number of instruments besides this, but was able to get some of the notes recorded in a few different things. So this is just one set of notes from the Moog. So what I want to do, and you might be wondering why I haven't done this yet, even though I did this a few years ago. Well, I mean, the journey was more important than the end result for me. And getting to use and see that instrument really changed how I see so many things about music technology and what we do, even in Logic and other places. But I thought, you know what? It may be time finally to do something with this and test out Sampler and see just how much it can do for us. So we're going to just pull some of this stuff off. We're going to do mapping for a moment. And it has two parts. Let me just play one of the notes. There's a harmony. Here's the second one. So you can hear the two different notes there. And we are going to make this into an instrument that has both of those together. One of them with just the root, and then a third with just the top part. So you can play them in any configuration there that you want. So first and foremost, we are going to pull this one over here. It's going to export and import. And now we have this. Here we go, zone. I want to split. We'll do split it notes. I didn't want to do silence for the first one because I'm hoping that this one will actually get all the notes there. Okay, so all the notes are there. They're not mapped very well, meaning I need to actually do another step here. So that did seem to work. And what I'm listening for is making sure that it started right at the notes and that there's not a gap at the beginning. And now we want to auto map using pitch detection. Let's put our MIDI keyboard focus on this. So there seems to be a problem with a note here, which we can fix. Right there. So we'll have to figure that one out right there. We can figure that out in a second. Okay, so it looks like it's doing a pretty good job. let's actually select them all again. And I also want to retune them so that if there was, when I recorded these, I actually had a tuner in front of me, and I went through each of them and tuned them before recording them. So they should be pretty good already. Okay, so that is our first group right here. So this is the group 1. And now I'm going to pull out the second one here into this, and we'll make it group 2. It's going to do the same export region thing. And so we'll pull this in, and then we're going to have to do a couple things with it. One of them is we're still going to do this by note for one of our zones or one of our groups. That way we could play this, and you play a G on the keyboard and a G pops out. But we also want to do it so it's the 5th. So when we play a G, a D comes out. So that way we can do harmony with this particular other patch that we had. Okay, so now it's importing. Now the reason why it's taking a little longer than, say, just dragging and dropping a file is because this was actually a fairly decently long file. And so I think we just expect that when it's that long. I mean, this is a number of minutes long. So there we go. So here's group 1. I don't know why it changed the name on me, but it did. Okay, group 2. Zone, we're going to split at notes. Now I'm going to auto map by pitch detection. It did a similar thing with that one, but come down to that. Okay, so the very first thing I want to do is actually change this. And this is one thing I'm curious about. And let's make sure we just have one group selected. Okay, so all of that said and done, it took me a minute there to get that to the right note, how I want it to sound. I did notice it's a little bit clunky here, choosing which zone or which group I want to do this with. And it gets a little bit wonky there. I noticed that there's some quirks about it. For instance, I want to select all of the zones here, but I just clicked on this and accidentally would click select all, and it would just be the last window I touched, which seems pretty common sense, but when you're in the middle of a bunch of notes, it can be a little trickier sometimes to figure that out. So now I've got group 1 and group 2, both of these playing together. And I'm going to one more time just hit retune on all of them. I think they're pretty good. But what I want to do now is let's duplicate group number 2. Well, let's just do a new group. And what I want to do is bring in this note again. Now, I've gone back and forth with this because I've done a bunch of different testing, and it seems to me that when I brought in or just duplicated the group and then changed a bunch of things on that group, it may have sometimes been changing the original group that I duplicated from. It's a little unclear. I need to do some more testing in that area. But I'm just going to bring in that file so I can have a group 3 separate from the other ones. Okay, so let's solo out this one. Well, we need to do a few steps first like we did before. Let's split at notes. So here comes our new analysis. And for this one, we are literally just going to do the auto map using pitch detection. And let's see if we're still getting... Yeah, so here's a perfect example of pain in the butt. So I wish that they would take the solo off of group soloing. So for instance, when I play a note on the keyboard, that one's muted, so these two are solo. And if I click on one of them, it unsolos all of them. All of them get selected. So if I solo group number 3, all of them play. Man, there's some wonkiness with this little setup right here that I don't like at all. Okay, but we have our groups now. Now I need to go through and troubleshoot the one section right here with this note because I couldn't figure out what was happening. It looks like it just false triggered a note at the top here. So that's easy to fix. Let's just pull that up like that. And let's check the other groups because I'm assuming it looks like it did it for all of them. Just like that. Yeah, see, I don't like that feature. There we go. And then a little different tonality for that third one. Okay, so now we don't have velocity sensitivity on the original Moog instruments. The keyboards didn't do it. Everything was everything was voltage controlled. So we had things we could do with it, but the keyboard, you weren't getting velocity information when you tapped on the keyboard, harder or softer, faster, slower. But we do want to put in some loops. And the reason why we want to put in loops is because you could hold that note on the Moog forever. And so we're going to come through here. I'm going to select group 1 first. And let's do that. We could do it in a couple different places, but we're going to do loop, auto loop, and we'll see what comes up. Now, these are going to be pretty straightforward loops because they're simple waveforms for the most part. Once again, foiled by the yeah, so that looks great. Group number 2. Let's select all. We'll do loop. We can test them all at some point. Right now, it doesn't matter as much because we're just doing big, broad strokes, and then we do testing type stuff later. And then let's do zone. We'll do auto loop for this as well. So all of them now have loops. Okay, cool. So now the basic instrument is built, but we need to come in here and not have all 3 groups play simultaneously. So what we're going to do is under visible group column names, we're going to do enable. And I think what I want to do is enable by control. And we'll do on and on. So for instance, we could do modulation wheel. The high value we'll just do full up. And then we'll set it about, well, no, let's do that the other way. Let's do these ones at 64. So the first half of the mod wheel will play the harmony, and then the second half of the wheel will play the other. Let me get my mod wheel here. Now, you're also hearing something really awesome there with vibrato, and part of that is because we have this whole thing set up here as well. So we're going to say none for the via. But we can also then flip it down. And then we have that nice harmony, the rich harmony there from the Moog. Now this is just getting started with this particular instrument because we do have a filter which we could do, including ones that are really built off of what Moog originally designed. Including things which you couldn't do on the original, not exactly the same way at least. But now we have the three groups. We have two of them triggered together when the mod wheel is pulled between 0 and 64. And then it switches just to the one note. And we could also, if we wanted to now, take group number 2, which is the harmony part, and change how it is also triggered. So for instance, we could do it this way. This would be a good example. So we could do, if we split it into about thirds-ish, we could say that, well, we leave 1 through 64, or 1 through 85. Just picking kind of a number in that range. And then around 42, we have the harmony part come in. And then the top part is just for that other note. So now, first note, harmony, and then that third sample, which is the harmony part all by itself, but tuned or changed so that it's in tune with everything else. Okay, so this was a good learning experience, putting this through its paces to see how it would sound. I think that there's a lot of tweaking that I would do on this interface. The main thing is that when I'm playing notes and say more than one group, I would probably, this is what I would do. I would, when I'm mapping this, I would enable control at the very beginning. So that way, when I play this note, it isn't automatically selecting the others. The other thing I would do is right here, I would turn off the select group of last played keys. I mean, this is great sometimes, but when I need to be able to just hit a note and listen to it, I'd forgotten that was even turned on. And so, let me go back into like the middle ground here where I've got the both of them playing. Yeah, it's still doing it. It doesn't even matter. So I think that's just a wonky way to have to be able to select things over here. That's proven to be one of the more complex things for me, is making sure I'm selected into the right group when I'm doing editing things. That for me, just because I'm looking at 100 different things simultaneously, weirdly enough, that proved to be one of the hardest things about this. Now let's go down a couple octaves. Back up one, I think. So I love that now I've got access to this really cool waveforms from that Moog. We can put it through the arpeggiator now. So let's do grid. Let's load up one of just the factory things here, grooving. Let's latch that. Because then we can also do all of our audio effects. A lot of our filters. Let's put on the modulator with this. Learn. Cut off. There we go, nice riding wave here. Okay, so awesome. Hope this made sense. It was such a mess in some cases, actually doing this for the very first time, putting it together like that. I tried some of these techniques, like the split by note and then the auto map by pitch detection. All of that, even the auto looping. This was my first time doing all of that stuff. So I wanted to kind of put it out there and see just how easy it was going to be. I didn't want to practice and rehearse this a bunch and then make a video so it looked like it was a perfect process. There were definitely a little bit of bumps. I did edit out many of the longer bumps because that's just not fun to watch. But, I did learn a whole bunch about this sampler doing this process. And in spite of some of the bumps, it is still just as cool as I hoped it would be. Now, this sample, the original Opus 1 Moog waveforms, just as they are available for free for download. The link is in the description below, so you can just click on that. It's going to be an instrument patch for sampler for Logic, so take those and import them in. I'd love to hear if you're making music with it at all. There's going to be one other thing coming up. I'm going to post it up. There are more of these that I recorded. It's not the only thing I did. A bunch of other things here, including some cool examples of the synth just in action. That's being triggered with the original sequencer that Bob Moog had made. It's so cool. But I'm going to take some of the other sounds that we have, and I'm going to post them up as well. And I want to see if you all can take them and make them into a finished instrument and sampler. And we're going to make a little bit of a competition. So check back for that. I'll probably be posting that middle of the week. And download those files, and you'll get a small prize for whoever comes up with the coolest implementation inside sampler. And so, we'll see how that all pans out. It's one of the first competitions we've ever done on this channel, and I hope that you'll all participate. But that's it for this video. Let's wrap it up. It's definitely long enough at this point. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you actually are listening to my voice right this point, you need to share this with everybody else. Share it on your Facebook, share it on your Twitter, share it to your friends via email. Yell it out loud so your roommates hear about it. But if you're actually listening to this far in the video, you at least owe us that. Share it with somebody. Okay, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to download the free instrument, and I will talk to you later.